Hello! It's me, Joey Only, Caribou Weather Dude, here to talk about tornadoes in the British Columbia interior. Well, does BC interior get tornadoes? Well, it has, actually, and we're seeing an increase in aggressive thunderstorms as the years go by. Climate change alert, hello. Okay, let's talk about why British Columbia should at least consider the possibility that a tornado event might someday occur in the interior. Let's go.
This is bad news.
My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen.
Wow.
I'll watch the video later.
Feel the heat.
I need more legs, I need water.
Ain't dry mopping this.
So tornadoes do happen in the British Columbia interior, and they happen maybe more regularly than we think they do, at least that we have confirmation of, right? It's important to note none of these videos are shot in Canada. These are just random tornado videos that, you know, I just have here to illustrate the point, but I will show you some footage from here in British Columbia that will help make my case. So tornadoes are underreported in British Columbia. That's a matter of fact. We have a sparsely populated province where people aren't everywhere at once, right? So a lot of things, weather things happen in the mountains, in the terrain that we don't necessarily have eyes on when it happens. So we know for a fact that tornadoes are underreported in BC. I can tell you also from experience that reporting tornadoes in British Columbia, Environment Canada needs a lot more funding to be able to send people out and make confirmation of these claims, right? So when we had in 2015, I am still sure to this day we have a confirmed tornado on the ground. We never had someone come and inspect, or it's not on any list as a possible tornado. It doesn't show up anywhere. We know there was a tornado in Quesnel in 2009. It's not on any list anywhere. But we know that storm did damage to some barns and things like that. So strong wind events. But you know what's also important to note is that storms are becoming more and more jacked in the recent years. You know, I've been seeing thunderstorms with the ability to produce tornadic weather, and I got some video here that'll help explain what I mean by that. But first, let's talk about tornadoes in British Columbia. Let me just go to Wikipedia here, and this is just an example. Tornadoes reported in Canada is what this is. List of Canadian tornadoes by province, right? Alberta, quite a few, sure. We know that there's a lot more some of these years than what's on this list. So you look at British Columbia, here's a good example. We only have on the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is not accurate. Not accurate at all. 3 rated F0, 5 not rated. We know that's not accurate at all. If you look at list of Canadian tornadoes and tornado outbreaks, we know that there are some tornadoes that happen in British Columbia in years like 2009, where it does not show up on any list. And as you go down this list, BC 0, 0, 0. Northwest Territories, what? 2019 confirmed tornado in the Northwest Territories. Okay. 2020, BC has 2 confirmed tornadoes. EF0 in Fort St. John, damaging homes and fences. No injuries reported. Wait a second. 2021, BC 6. 3 EF0 waterspouts over Strait of Georgia confirmed. Second day in a row, 2 in Strait of Georgia. Some of that is starting to remind me of things that we see in California. Well, one of my things I've been saying for quite a long time is that British Columbia supercell tornado formed over Strait of Georgia November 6th, west of Vancouver, came ashore, caused significant tree damage at the Golf Club at University of British Columbia campus. Confirmed tornado in 2023 in British Columbia. One of the things I've been saying is that climate change is going to move everything northward, right? We're going to see trends northward. California gets 11 confirmed tornadoes a year on average. And waterspouts, common thing off the Oregon coast, off the California coast. So we're seeing some of that behavior of where tornadoes showing up sort of mirroring a little bit things that are happening down south.
The deadliest tornado in Pacific Northwest history. And Sally, you have more on what happened that day.
Yeah, Jenny, it sliced right through Vancouver, and it was a long track tornado for these parts. It stayed on the ground for about 8 miles and did all kinds of devastation. It's still the deadliest tornado, as you mentioned, not only in the Pacific Northwest, but west of the Rockies.
Some of those tornadoes that happen in the Pacific Northwest have been very strong tornadoes too.
As this large gust of wind started coming up, it wasn't very strong at first, and then hail came, large hailstones, approximately about the size of a golf ball. They lasted for about 30 seconds, and then the roof of the lower main building popped off, the windows popped out, and the walls started coming down. At this time, half of our students were in, half were out. And then when I saw this, I got the ones that were outside behind our building. And so then about that time, the roof of our building came off, but it blew over us, and the rest of the debris was blowing past us because we were close to the building. The main force lasted approximately 45 seconds. Completely demolished all of our school. All of it. The walls were completely laid down, both walls. The gym was completely laid down. At the time, there were some students in the gym when this was taking place. We were having an assembly there, but they were more or less lucky because when the roof popped off of the gym, they were blown out of the gym into the halls. And this helped them quite a bit. And then it only lasted a short time, and then everyone was out.
On average, California sees 11 tornadoes per year. Which state has the most tornadoes per year? Obviously not California. So we look back to July. Oh, it says July 12th. It should be June 12th. Hello again. Was driving from Dawson Creek home to Wells, City 97. Noticed change in the weather in the Pine Pass. Came across small convective cells near Bear Lake, BC. Around supper, noticed there were vortices and even rotation reaching down out of the one cell to the right-hand side of a road. I took note of the behavior as I always do. As we drove south of Prince George, there's excellent thundercell development out towards the direction of the Caribou Mountains. As we neared Hickson, there is now more exciting developments on the right, west. Very strong-looking shelf clouds, heavy bands of precipitation. As it was darkening, we could see lightning in it. At 10 p.m., we neared the Cottonwood River, crossing at 97. We had a few glimpses, but clearly saw what appeared to be a funnel cloud reaching the ground to the direction of perhaps where Cottonwood River intersects Abu Creek. By the time we reached Quesnel, the base was lifting. Lightning seemed to stop around 10:45. I put out a call on WTF Quesnel Facebook and got photos back from people. Millburn, Bushy Lake, photo by Amanda Miro. And I hear back from Matt, Environment Canada. I looked at Prince George radar show during late evening on June 12th. There was a persistent thunderstorm, supercell type, that moved northeastward across Cinema after 10 p.m. The radar returns were weak. There was just 15 lightning strikes detected in the 1 hour. The thunderstorm top was only 24,000 feet, and the convective available potential energy was low to moderate. However, the radar did detect cloud rotation that for some reason was not triggered by the radar MESO algorithm. I am surprised by this because the Doppler velocity difference was significant over a short distance. One cannot say a tornado was not possible because the wind shear was strong enough for a supercell thunderstorm. There was veerings of wind with height at low levels. The thunderstorm base was low and instability was greatest in the lower portion of the storm. Tornadoes in BC have occurred with this type of environment. Why was the MESO algorithm not triggered by the radar? The storm was definitely within the Doppler range. So the results are inconclusive. The photos certainly look like a funnel was produced. I got several quick looks at it, and there was absolutely no doubt it was a funnel. On the 1 5-second look, I'd swear it was on the ground somewhere near Fraser River, Cottonwood, Abu's area. All the photos were sent to me on Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers Facebook group or from people living closer to Bushy Lake. And they may not have seen it from that angle. Where I believe it came through, there aren't many people living out there. Could be some time before anyone finds a damage path if one exists. Later, I report 3 different people in the area report hearing thunder that lasted more than 30 seconds, sounded like an airplane and didn't stop rumbling. When pressed, the one admitted they saw no lightning, as we know there wasn't much. I suggested they heard wind, which didn't comfort them. We even now have pictures of a damage path that Benthia Chernstock, a local, sent in. She sent me about 20 pictures, but here's one right along the line of people who said they heard it and seen it. But the thing was, there was no conclusion, right? There was no conclusion. They didn't send anybody up to look. We didn't get confirmation. June 12th, 2015 doesn't appear anywhere on statistics for tornado activity in British Columbia. And this is consistent with how storms are reported here. So we look back, these are historical average between 1957 and 1980. This is thunderstorm days per year in British Columbia. And when you look at this, 21, 20 here up here in Wells, and I'm telling you, we see that now sometimes before the end of June. There's an increase in storm activity. Now look at some of these storms that I've witnessed in the past. Just some examples of jack thunderstorms. I've now seen thunderstorms in the Wells area that had rotation on them, that had funnel clouds, that had the ability to produce thunderstorms. Maybe they were tornadoes. Maybe they were weak. We're not talking about were we in a real threat? No, but the behavior was happening, right? That behavior was there. So I think back in 2021 when the storm came through Wells, and we were parked right there when, by the one church here, the old church, the tree had broken the wrong way, essentially. Winds don't come from that direction. And one thing I've noticed with thunderstorm behavior in Wells is if it's coming from the north at all, it's generally coming with hail and the possibility of that it's actually rotating. It's coming in. The whole thing is on its axis. The whole storm is coming in rotating. So I've seen that several times. We had an Arts Wells where giant hail fell and we were doing first aid on a kid who'd smashed his head in front of my house skateboarding, some random guy. Here in Wells, the day of that storm, we had skies that were doing things that you expect to see in supercellular storms that produce tornadoes. Let's have a look.
Here you got some strange looking structure in the clouds. Angry looking stuff here. This stuff's getting weirder and weirder. Almost looks like a scud. Wishes it was a funnel. Hello. Get in!
Hey, Joey!
Get in before you get struck by lightning.
What's going to happen?
Yes, I did.
God, look at the tree! Holy fuck!
I'm telling you, get in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow!
Tree down back there.
What's that?
I didn't even see that when I was coming
Just
for
went
you.
down as I was talking to you.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
just then.
Holy shit. That tree's been there a long time and it didn't come down on the church. Like,
And it's not dead. That's a live tree that came down.
that's, well, the winds rarely come from that direction. That's what's shocking.
Oh.
That's a severe storm that just slammed in.
Go back to 2022, and we had this funnel cloud just outside of Wells that nobody but myself noticed.
Something is definitely going on right here. It has gotten very windy. Things are swirly. Got this big low hanging spot. Oh. What is going on right now? Whoa. Wild. So cold, that downdraft too. Spooky, spooky. There is unbelievable things going on over here. Wowzers, and it's coming back this way, rotating in. Wow. Look at that.
Big cloud.
Yeah, it's almost a funnel cloud, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird spinning going on in there. What the heck?
Wow.
Yeah. Look at that. It's getting a bit of a form even.
Whoa.
Whipping up on Slide Mountain there is what it's doing. Whatever is going on over there, harsh. If you are on that mountaintop right now, you are just getting slammed. Look at it.
Yep.
Really feels like it wants to rotate. Pretty weakly though.
Great example here, Williams Lake. Not long after, actually, that 2022 video, I was on standby with my crew in Williams Lake and seen a thunderstorm that became severe warn, dropped nickel-sized hail eventually, and had some rotation happening in it, clearly producing the behavior of a tornado-capable thunderstorm.
Aggressive. Look at that, eh? I'd call that a wall cloud, man. It's looking like it. Now, do we have any rotation? Funnel cloud behavior, downtown Williams Lake. I'm the only guy who notices. That is got an edge coming around for sure.
And of course, some of those storms we've seen last year And that includes a Princeton funnel cloud 2 years ago. Sure, that happened. We had the funnel clouds in Princeton. That's actually a fairly common thing if you start paying attention in British Columbia. People taking photos and reporting funnel clouds. It happens. Tornadoes touching the ground, still not common. But could the conditions ever arise for one of those to actually get rotating? Well, yeah, we're seeing thunderstorms becoming more and more aggressive, more and more angry. Seeing thunderstorms that come in with more of the behavior and severity that you expect to see. The sort of severity you expect to see in storms that could do anything. What do I think the chances of a long track tornado happening in British Columbia producing F3, F4 damage? Well, that seems pretty far-fetched. Stranger things happen. But one that lands on the ground for 1 kilometer with F2 strength that can seriously damage a neighborhood, that is entirely possible. And people not ready, there's no warning system, there's no comprehension, no taking of thunderstorms seriously by the public in British Columbia, and that's how disasters happen. And when you look at the distribution of tornadoes in Canada that are officially reported, we have all kinds of different maps and they all seem to say different things. But one thing they all seem to agree on is that the Caribou area is an area in the Prince George area that has the ability to produce the conditions that make supercellular thunderstorms, which any supercellular thunderstorm can produce a tornado. So we see on these maps again and again and again different reported tornadoes, and we've seen behavior of thunderstorms in this region in the last number of years produce consistently severe thunderstorms. So it's not just like that we have a couple in a season, but we have patterns of severe thunderstorms that roll through that are sometimes quite spectacular and quite dangerous. I can think back 10 years ago when we had golf ball size hail falling somewhere out past Nazco, and when we were in Fraser Lake looking south and seeing storms that were unbelievably jacked, ready for battle kind of thunderstorms. So, and then you look at some of those flat areas out in the, it's like you think British Columbia is a mountainous place, it can't have tornadoes. Well, that's absolutely not true. That sometimes the mountains can increase the chance of a small tornado or a brief one, a spin up, or the flat ground in between. We have the conditions here where air can really get moving out in the Caribou Plateau and out towards Prince George, the prairies of Vanderhoof. We do have areas where there's not much to inhibit storm development. So thunderstorms tend to grow faster and faster there when the conditions are right. So yeah, it may seem a little far-fetched, but I think British Columbia needs to start thinking about some of these things. We have in our town here in Wells a fire siren that can go off, which is much like the tornado sirens that were the original tornado sirens in the United States were started in 1975. They were transitioned because they were originally put there as nuclear war air raid sirens, right? But by 1974, super outbreak of tornadoes killed so many hundreds of people in the United States. They said, hey, why can't we use these warning systems to also warn people of weather? So that's how come now almost every town in the United States has that tornado siren. We have something like that just here in Wells. But if we were to fire it off because there's a severe thunderstorm going on, nobody would know why. So we don't have a culture of being ready for severe thunderstorms in British Columbia, and that's a real problem. And know that when you are out there camping and you see a really aggressive thunderstorm come in your direction, start really taking it seriously. Plan what's going on. If you're on a fire crew and you're out there and you see a jacked thunderstorm coming in, get out of the forest, get out of the trees, get away from whatever plow winds, whatever flat line winds, straight line winds can come out of there. Sure, perhaps, sometimes just that gust front of the storm itself is strong enough to knock trees down en masse, and we get these windstorms sort of like that. But, if we ever did have a tornado-like event, people would not be able to comprehend, I don't think, that it was actually happening. And that's what scares me the most. So maybe it's low on the list of natural disasters I anticipate in British Columbia, but it's not out of the question whatsoever that we could have a significant tornado event someday in the central interior that causes large life and property loss. Thank you very much. Hit like, share, subscribe if you find any of this helpful at all. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm Joey, only Caribou Weather Dude, signing off for today. Bye now.